Hi, everyone. First of all, apologies for this starting late. There's just been a little bit of some technical difficulty in the background. But yeah, we're on now. Talk with Slana is not able to join us today. But yeah, Gigi and I will be holding the fort. So yeah. All right, let's talk about today's episode. So Gigi, like, what did you think about today's episode or last night's episode?
Honestly, I've said this the last couple episodes. I feel like the last couple episodes have been a lot better because there haven't been the Scotts and really the Whitlows going on. Well, there was a little bit with Tiffany, but we haven't had as much as like the Scott bullshit. So the episodes have been a lot better. So here we come. You bring the Scotts back in, and off top, it's bullshit. Like the fake storyline just to have something to say. Like, honestly, the Scots are soul sellers. You know what I'm saying? Like they will sell their soul for a storyline. And it just anytime they're there, it just the episode just makes it just wasn't worth it.
Yeah, no, I completely felt that the episode just seemed very contrived. Like, especially with the Scots, it just felt like, oh, I'm back on the screen now. Let me manufacture some drama. Like, oh, I could be pregnant. Like, that just really annoyed me. Um, but yeah, all in all, I thought the episode was, yeah, I wasn't very keen on the episode, although there were parts of the episode that I actually did like. And I do have some words about Tisha and Kiki, basically, Kimmi and Tisha rather. But we can talk about that like later on. So let's talk about the first scene, which was with Kiki, Tiffany, and Stormi, where Stormi was trying to play the mediator. What did you think about that, Gigi?
Where was this energy at when you was going, up against Destiny, you're going up against Mel? Like where was all of this like you being able to just be a mediator and not have all the drama? Where was all that at before? Because it seems like now she's also trying to make herself relevant. So why not get in between some stuff? Like, but
Yeah.
I don't know. The whole mediator thing, and then the very next next episode, you're still calling Marsau a bitch, like which we whatever. But
Yeah.
it just doesn't make sense. It's just for me. I feel like there's a lot of them that are just trying to fake and play storylines, like just to stay on the show and have a spot. Because without it, what do you have?
100%. Like, I completely agree with Slana. She's in the chat saying that Tiffany keeps using that baby as bulletproof because what is the essence of
Yes, she
breaking?
does.
That is literally what I was about to say. Like, why? Who does that? You haven't really been talking to this person. You are saying that this person, usually every time she comes or shows up, there's some drama, right? And then you proceed to bring your child into that environment. You knew exactly what you were doing. There's
She
nothing in.
keeps doing that.
Yep,
Like,
completely agree.
girl. And then for her to like kind of backtrack as if, oh, like, no, I didn't mean it that way. And I would, girl, yes, you did, because we all saw the Carlos interview. The way that you were talking about Kiki is it was a Kiki interview. It was not even your interview anymore because one question was asked about Kiki and then you just took over and that's all it took. But then you turned around and act as though you didn't understand why she felt the way that she did, or like people were just drawing the wrong conclusion with what you said when you purposely basically said that you are better than her. And then to act like with the situation between her and Mel when Mel came over there, Mel didn't ask about Kiki. You brought up the Kiki situation and her stealing and her being on drugs and all that. Mel did, but then you try to act like it was Mel who brought it up. People keep bringing up your name, and I just don't understand why they're acting like it's me, girl, because it's you. But she's definitely using that baby as a shield because she knows without it, she'd possibly have to fight, and she can't fight.
Yep. Tiffany is like the example of someone who does so much, and then when it's time to let's address it, then she hides her hand and she's like, "What did I do? I didn't do anything." Like she just really gives that impression that she can't really stand 10 toes down in I said what I said, and this is how I felt at the time, and this is why I felt the way I felt. Um, Now that being said, I will say though, from her body language, I felt like something was off before she even showed up. I don't know if you felt that way, Gigi. I kept looking at her eyes. I kept looking at her everything. I felt
Yeah.
like her body language was off. I think something definitely happened beforehand. That was the impression I got anyway. Although in any event, I feel like she says all these negative things about people, throws jabs constantly. And then when it's time to stand, and be like, okay, I said what I said, that's how I felt, then she starts changing and starts suddenly being so peaceful. But that being said, I feel like there was something about her body language that concerned me when I saw her, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, you can tell she is going through a lot. Now, that's not an excuse for you to be the person that you are and then, play victim because we've all seen it. She's got that Karen mentality. She's,
Hmm.
she's quickly, listen here, she could be classified. But you can tell, like, she could be going through postpartum. And it could just be the fact that we have seen that she had the conversation with Lou. She feels like Lou's not around, Lou's not helping out as much. What she thought and how she thought things was going to be after she had that baby, it's not happening. And she doesn't know what to do. So I feel like she is lost. She is lost. And then also her feeling like talking about people was going to get her the reaction that she wanted on the show, and it's not. She's still getting complaints because people on social media, they're not nice. They didn't
Yeah.
want y'all there last season. They definitely aren't going to want you there now. They don't want you there now. So I feel like it's a lot getting to her. Because I feel like that's also a reason why they brought up how the show is affecting them.
Mm,
Because I feel like it's a lot. She's getting a lot of negative feedback and pushback that she can't handle
yeah.
on
And
top of her, daily life.
And in all fairness, she did start it. And I know part of it is because I feel it's production led for her to perform. But at the same time, I feel like she went so far beyond what she anticipated or whatnot. And then the fans like literally read her for filth because no one was really here for the over exaggerated drama and everything that she was causing this season. And instead, I think maybe she thought she could handle being the villain, but in reality, she can't handle it. And then I feel like then everything she's going through with you know, having Ace and all of that, I feel like that also has then put additional pressures, including the fact that Lewis is not really even there for her at home, present. I feel like that can make anyone feel really, really bad. And of course, it's not an excuse for her behavior. She's been behaving like this since we met her. It's just I feel like, yeah, I agree with you that there's definitely something that is wrong. Like she definitely comes across as someone who's deeply going through something. And if anything, I'm actually glad she decided to take a step back and focus on herself. But yeah,
Yeah,
um
but yeah, I feel like she's too much like into other people's situation to where it almost like overshadows her so she doesn't have to think about what she's going through. So she'll put herself in other situations that will draw more attention or cause her to not have to reflect as much. But
mhm,
then when she goes home and she's by herself, Lou's not there and she's on social media and she's looking at the comments, she's falling apart. That's
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
no,
it's still no excuse for her behavior though. I'm sorry, it's not. Because you were like this before you got pregnant. And then you got pregnant thinking that was going to keep you from getting jumped on. Now that you have the baby all around. I understand he's newborn, you're breastfeeding. I understand, but certain situations, you can leave your baby at home just to keep them away from certain environments.
yeah.
But it seems like you're using him as a shield and also as a reason for everything.
Yeah.
So
Although I then thought about it again, whilst I feel like, my initial thought is like she's using him as a shield, but then I also wondered, do you think that she's also going through separation anxiety? Because I know some mothers go through that when they just have a baby and they just feel like they can't leave their baby anywhere with anybody after to do anything. So they feel like they have to take their baby everywhere.
yeah,
And
that's actually good.
say that again.
I'm saying I could see that. That could possibly be it too, but it just seems like as a parent, and this isn't her first child, but
Mm,
as a parent, you know when to and when not to take your kids into certain situations. If you know you're going to argue with someone or you're about to be around somebody that's, you know, has a problem with you or you have a problem with, most parents aren't going to take their kids around to be a part of that situation just in case.
yeah.
But then again, you have others that will because they need that protection. Because a lot of times people won't do stuff around kids. They're not going to fight you. They're not going to. You're breastfeeding the baby. How many times have you seen a breastfeeding woman get attacked? Not many.
Never.
So
Mm-mm.
I feel like it's a defense mechanism for it.
Yeah. It's almost like using the baby as a crutch. Mm. That is deep though. Like you don't want to
And
be using.
also, he's to make up for Lou not being there.
Mm, yeah. Ooh, do you feel like it's one of those things where because Louis is not there anymore, it's like, ooh, the baby has now replaced that side of things. Hmm. Interesting.
It seems like that. It really does. It seems like because think about it. Before she got pregnant, Lou was against it. And he
Mm,
was actually giving, like logical reasons like, hey, how much you work, how I work, how our lifestyle is, maybe that's not right. But she wanted to pressure and push that. Okay, he gave in. You didn't want to stop working. You didn't want to do what the doctors really told you to do because you're on the go all the time. Well, now you have this baby and you're seeing it. What was said to you, life's not going to be the same. You're seeing that and you're starting to realize and you're having to process it. And this is something that you don't know how to do well is process things that, or somebody else being right or somebody telling you something and it coming to pass. Like she might not be used to actually having to face that. Like, damn, my husband's really not here because I know that he has to work, but I said that, I don't know. I just feel like Tiffany looks at the world differently and she feels like it's all about her. And because it's not, she's not coping well.
mm, yeah. Yeah. I just feel like the thing is, I feel like there is a sense of resentment from Louis's part or Lou's part. Why do I keep calling him Louis? From Lou's part, right? I feel like there's a sense of like resentment because I just feel like you said, he didn't really want the kid to begin with. Like, of course, like when your kid comes, you love the kid and whatnot. But I feel like he really, at some point, like even like for instance, I get the impression that she's not really getting the help that she needs even when Lou is there, right? So perfect example, she's folding clothes and then she's like, oh, he's helping me fold clothes or something along the lines of what she said, right? And then he and I noticed he didn't even say, okay, let me help you fold some, right? And so it just made me think like, okay, is Lou actually present when he comes back from these things that he's doing? Or is he still not present? And I feel like if he's still not present, then I feel like there is an element of him still feeling resentful because it's almost like we were doing so well as a family. You came in, you insisted you wanted a baby. Now we have a baby, our lives have changed. We're up at odd hours of the night, constantly having to deal with this newborn, and it's your fault. So I feel like there's like an element of that as well. Like that's just the impression I get. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a
Yeah,
there's
I could definitely see that because I was thinking that too. I was like, okay, well, Okay, he's not helping fold the clothes, which I understand. And, she gave him the baby, which he took. Great. But
But
it
gives
does kind of seem like Blue's checked out in certain areas. He's kind of, it's almost like he would probably, I hate to say this, but I don't know. It kind of seems like he's okay with being gone more so than being there.
yes, he seems emotionally checked out
Okay,
because
so you saw that too. Okay, so I'm not tripping.
right. No, no, no. You're not though. You're not alone. Like I actually feel like he's checked out because the thing is, if you're folding, like, okay, if my partner is folding stuff and they are holding the baby, I will automatically do something to help, right? And then
Right.
she had to then say, take the baby. And I know we're not even at that point yet, but she had to basically say, do you want to go with your daddy? And then moved him over. So it wasn't like an instinctive thing, like where he goes to pick up the kid or help her with the laundry or folding the clothes or whatever she was doing. So I just felt like, that just gives the impression, it almost comes across as a little bit like, you've checked out.
And maybe that was the situation that was happening, like not that specific situation, but maybe the feeling of being checked out or her being, Lou checking out or whatever that it may be. Maybe that was the battle that she was battling with before going into the conversation with Tiffany and Stormi. So that was the look and the body language that she had, is that she's already dealing with the fact that she's basically on her own.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I hope that her actually taking a break, she still gets to. I hope that Louis actually is there for her or steps up because just I don't wish that in anyone and like watching her unravel in that way. Um let's move on. I don't want to talk about her too much because I know like we're still going to talk about her towards the end of today's episode. But I think the other thing that I'm always like when Stormy talks about this whole her as a peacemaker thing, I'm just like, where was this peace when it was, issues with Mel and her mom last season? Like, where was the peacemaker? Or let me try and resolve things. And so she was talking about, the whole pompous tea event. Do you remember?
Yeah. Where was that? That's something. Where was that energy? Like you
Mm,
gotten into it, your mother has gotten into it, but you couldn't be a mediator then. Like, so you're putting yourself in situations that what make you look like you're a good person, but no. Matter of fact, where was that same energy when you cussed out Black Titanic?
mm, right.
Like that's real life. Like, come on. You're a mediator now. All of a sudden, everybody wants to get their feng shui together. Everybody wants to get their whole rhythm, their vibes, their whole, or they're trying to work on it now. Okay, got to start somewhere, I guess.
It's a bit convenient if you ask me.
Very, very convenient.
Yeah.
It's a fake storyline. Y'all get sneaky enough, and now y'all got to try to push it a little bit further. Now, this is what it is. They try to make her look so bad. They try to make Kiki look so bad. She's a crackhead. She's this, that, and the third. But now that everything has come out, like, no, she's not. She didn't do what y'all saying she did. Oh, let's smooth things over. Let's go ahead
Mhm.
and try to make it seem like, oh no, Kiki, we knew that you was not this. So the
Yep.
main one who started the whole rumor, Tiffany. Oh, Tiffany, now what do you have to say? Oh, I see you as a different person, and the way you are now, I am so sorry, girl. Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, no, I called BS on that. I was just like, girl, who are you kidding? Who are you lying to? It looks like they gave you a script to read out of. Like, I don't know what that was about. But yeah, I think they're trying to clean it up now because I think they saw how the viewers reacted to the whole, the trailer to begin with. I feel like then they were filming the rest and probably just, I don't know. But it just gives the impression they're trying to clean it up a little bit. Um, yeah. Okay, so let's move on from that to Martell and Chris. Mm. I have lots to say, but I'll let you start us off. What did you
First
think
thing,
of that?
can we just take a moment for for Martell's bags under his eyes? Can we just let's just take a moment? That was crazy. I'm like, dude, really? Talking about, yeah, I had to get the fat, taken out from under my eye because I can't have them sagging eyes. Well, stop drinking your own supply,
Mm,
and maybe you would be okay.
yeah.
I said, Lord,
Honestly,
it was so funny when Chris was like, I don't know if his baby mama punched him in his eye or Sheree.
I know. I'm like, Chris has shady confessionals. I will say that. Like, he is funny in his confessionals. I'm so here for it, honestly. I definitely think Chris is a good addition to the show. Chris and Nell, actually, they're definitely a really good addition. I wish they were there from day one. That would have been even more interesting. Um, but yeah, I think for me, I just kept thinking Mattel has a lot of problems, man. He does. And when he started talking about like, women need to stay in women's place and don't disrespect a man, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And I know people may say, oh, Chris is soft-spoken and whatnot, but I feel like Chris didn't check him. I feel like Chris did not check him enough, in my opinion.
No, he didn't. He definitely didn't. And my whole
That's
thing was Martell kept saying she was disrespectful. Okay, how? What did she say? But Chris, he was asking her, legit questions. Was she disrespectful or was she honest? Like, there's a
mm,
difference. Because people can't take honesty. They will take it as disrespect because they're not used to a person telling them the truth or being upfront and honest. And I'm going to tell you, I get that all the time. They're like, oh my God, you're so rude. You're so disrespectful. No, I'm just honest. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know how to be fake and tell you some foolish shit. Like, no, I'm gonna tell you what it is. Because I'm the friend that I'm gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what
mm,
you want to hear.
yep,
So that's just me. But I don't feel like Chris really checked him that much. But I do feel like he was asking legit questions, but Martell couldn't comprehend what he was saying.
yeah.
And
I
he
think
couldn't even give an example of what did she say that was disrespectful? Or what did she do that was so disrespectful? Besides side with Mel.
Yeah, I think because of the way Mattel lacks boundaries. Mattel is not very, very smart, not emotionally intelligent. I feel like with people like that, you need to spell it out for them. Mattel is not one of those ones that like you would brush it over and ask questions and he would think deeply. You know how a sensible person, right? If Chris was asking a sensible person those kind of questions, the person would have paused to reflect and think, "Oh, okay, maybe she was just being honest and I was out of line. Maybe I did." Does that make sense? But with someone like Mattel, there is no reasoning with that man. You need to check him and say to him, don't you come over to my house to disrespect my wife. That's unacceptable. Like, I appreciate Chris being a soft spoken man and, a respectful man, but I think with someone like Mattel that lacks proper understanding of boundaries, Chris should have done a lot better to make it clear so that it does not happen again. Because the way things are,
Absolutely.
it will most likely happen again. That's what I think.
I definitely agree with that. He definitely should have been more stern and more vocal on, at least this is how you should be. One, it shouldn't even have been where Martell's comfortable enough to even think of doing that because they've been friends for years. So this shouldn't even had to been a conversation that should have happened then. This should have been happening years ago.
Yep.
Like, set the boundaries, and this is what's set. This is what it is. So if you know that if you cross that boundary when I come to you, I'm not being disrespectful, but I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna put you in your place because what you did was wrong. So I do feel like that conversation should have been had a long time ago, but since it wasn't, it should have been addressed a lot stronger. Like, you're
Yeah.
not going to disrespect my partner. You're no, not at all.
100%. I don't care how you speak to women outside, but you will not be speaking to my wife in that sort of manner ever again. You know, like he needs to. I understand being a southern gentleman, and I respect that, but you need to check. You need to be able to speak up for your wife when it counts. That's just what I think. Sana is like, Martell is sick in the head. Girl, you right. Martell is doing so much procedures. It's starting to look really old. Even Chris looks better. No, I completely agree that Chris looks
That's
better.
absolutely. Chris looked better already. Like, I keep telling y'all, for those who don't watch Marvel, if you go watch Captain Marvel, the little alien, the squid scrolls, that's what Martell reminds me of. He reminds me of a scroll.
Oh,
Like,
I think
no. And it's
I,
like you got this procedure under your eyes, but yet your eyes still look more puffy and saggy. Like, what did you do?
you need a refund. Do you know what? I haven't actually. I did not really stare at him in the confessional look, so I think maybe I need to go back and watch that bit again because I need to see what his eyes look like now. Because I'm just like, yeah, I need to see what's going on under those under his eyes. He said he had eyeball surgery. Eyeball surgery, like how?
Right.
Eyeball surgery for eye bags. Like, are you
Let,
dumb?
let's let's listen to the lie. You had eyeball surgery, but you had them take the fat from underneath your eye because you didn't want your having the saggy eyes.
What
It's
too
not
many
your eyeball.
eyeballs? Like, where's the eyeballs come in? I'm just like, what is your problem, sir? You're so dumb. That's why I can't pass the builder's test, builder's license test, honey. Like, he just, yeah. Mm-mm.
Maybe he thinks that if he took some of the fat from under his eyes, he could see the questions better. I don't know. Because
Ah, I finally he wouldn't have an excuse anymore. He can finally see the questions. Now let's see if he'll pass the test next year. But yeah, no, Mattel is a joke, honestly. And Sana is just saying Chris knows it's a waste of time. Mattel loathes women, period. 100%.
absolutely.
The way he kept saying, stay in women's place if a woman this, I'm like, what? Between you and Marsau, when it comes to women, I don't even know who's worse. I actually think Mattel is worse. Mattel has just flown under the radar for such a long time because he was with Mel. And I think now everyone is starting to see him for who he really is.
Yeah.
You
Only reason why Martell is better is because Marsau knows how to keep his shit quiet.
mm,
And only one he disrespects is his wife, which is fuck that. But other women, no. As we noticed, Marcel, he has a lot of respect for other women, just not Tisha.
mm, mm. Mattel, on the
And
other hand, has no respect for anybody.
exactly.
So yeah, that much is clear. Um, so let's talk about when Mattel started talking about Mel and referred to Mel as Melody Holt. I'm like, bro, what was that about? Like, I feel like Mattel cannot get over the fact that she's finally changed her name. And then to be saying in his confessionals, oh yeah, that was the one thing tying us together. You it's like you want stuff to be tying you guys together. You guys have been divorced for how many years? Get over it.
Right. And then for you to act like, uh, yeah, Rogers, like that's such a great name. It was because she was doing stuff, well, at least from what I've gathered, she was doing stuff with the name Rogers before she was a hoe.
Hmm.
She got you in on the business, not the other way around. Because you just gave her a last name and turmoil after that. You gave her some beautiful children, yes, but what else does the Holt name have? Because the
Nothing but
businesses that was
drama.
started was because of her.
Mm, totally. And did you notice when Chris was like, the name is not new or something like that? I was like, all right, well done, Chris. This is
Right.
why
But
this
it's
is
not
why
a new name.
and this is probably why he feels like Chris takes up and Chris and Nell take up for Melody because they don't buy into his BS. I get the impression Chris and Nell are tired of Mattel. They are
So
tired.
Woodley, he's a moocher and he doesn't know how to truly be a friend. Like, look at how he did Chris with this house. Like, you could
Mhm.
have really damaged this man's reputation just because you didn't want to get out and because people know that y'all are friends. Like, but you still would rather. I just, mm, I agree with you. I think they're tired. I really think they are getting fed up of Martell.
Yeah, because the way they're always like, mm-mm. Whilst they always say they don't take sides, but they always correct Mattel when he says stuff about Mel, generally, if you've noticed. And so in a way, I feel like they know Mattel is full of BS. I feel like they're just tolerating him, probably because they're just like, it's probably safer and easier to remain friends in quotation marks with Mattel than saying, okay, we're no longer friends. Because I don't know if Mattel has anything on them. Let's just be clear. Mattel is going to burn the whole ish down. Let's be clear. We know how Mattel moves. So yeah, I think maybe
That's
it's
like the
one of those.
majority of his friendships. Is the reason why some of them are friends with him is because he knows where the bodies are buried. So they
Yeah,
can't really too much like get on to him or say too much. But when it comes to the Fletchers, I don't know. Unless it's been some recent stuff that maybe Nell don't know, which I'm pretty sure it is. For the
mm,
most part, she knows about Chris being unfaithful. They've worked through that. And whether
yeah,
they're still working through it or not, I don't see them being one of the couples that's too much triggered um, by Martell's, the games that he likes to play of where, oh, I'm gonna tell on you if you stop being my friend or if you don't side with me.
mm, yeah, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. I think that yeah, I do agree with you on that actually because like I get the impression that what, but then again, do you feel like there could be some stuff that Nell does not fully know about? Because you might know someone cheated, right? But you might not know the extent.
Right.
And
And it could have been some previous or some recent stuff that has happened that maybe she doesn't know.
uh-huh. And
Yeah,
so
I do think that. Yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Maybe that's why he didn't go so hard on it.
Because I just feel like why do they let Mattel get away with murder?
Right.
Like I just feel
Yeah.
like they just let him get away with everything. Like no one really checks him. Everyone sort of like skirts around him and just lets him do whatever. And then even though you're like, oh, okay, should I check him? The way he had all that vim in front of his wife, I thought he was really gonna go there and check Mattel, but he didn't.
Right. I thought that there was definitely going to be more of a like, listen, don't you ever, if you come to my house and I'm not there, don't even have a conversation that's going to get out of pocket with my wife. Now, I'm not going to say don't have a conversation because they all are friends, or whatever you want to call them. I feel like they're friends, but Martell is just a moocher. But still, like, hey, if you know that I'm not there, wait till I get there and we'll have this conversation. Or if you feel like the conversations get out of line, call me on the phone and let me know something. Like there were so many different ways that could have been. And I just feel like Chris should have been a lot more stern when it came to laying down the boundaries and keeping them, you know? And I think
Yes.
a lot of people do that with Martell. For some reason, Mel is really the only one who holds him accountable and like sticks it to him. Now, yeah, the Fletchers do, they hold him accountable too, and they, let him, know like, hey, that's wrong, that's not right. But I'm saying as far as like sticking it to him, not giving him, not sugarcoating. Everybody else babies him still.
Yes, I feel like you're definitely right about that. Like I feel like everyone sort of skates around his feelings, and I think maybe part of it is because they don't want smoke from him. They know how he can get belligerent and can get over the top, but I think part of it is like they're just like, you know what, I can't. I want to avoid this whole thing escalated, so like they just let it go. But I wish like people would check him because I feel like the genesis of like the problems Mattel has is probably because he grew up unchecked by his mom, by his family members, by his friends. That's why he's come and become this person that lacks accountability, that is delusional. Like he has to be delusional
Mhm.
because how do you make a name change ceremony about you? You know?
Right. And it's somebody, this is somebody doing something against you. even though you were the one who cheated, had an outside child, continued to cheat and lie, but yet she's doing something against you because she's taking claim back of herself. She's taking ownership back of everything that was her before you. So this is going against you. And it's so crazy because he made the comment like, it lets me know that it's really over for us. It's been over.
Like, the divorce should have made it clear that it's over for you. I don't know why he feels so delusional in this twisted world, thinking Melody will ever come back to him. You have embarrassed her in ways that are unimaginable. She would be mad to go back to you. Like, let's be clear, right? Like, who in their right mind will go back to such after you've publicly humiliated her, embarrassed her, tried to bring out the revenge P against her? It's like, I don't understand. Like, I just want to like open his brains and see what's going on in there. Must be nothing.
Girl, you will find silly putty, bubble gum, and a whole lot of loose screws.
Yeah. Like, I honestly don't understand it. Like, I just couldn't believe he made the naming ceremony about him. And the thing is, I was reading some comments and people are saying like sometimes when you feel like you are starting to sort of feel like, oh, Martell is finally moving forward and taking accountability, he pulls some stunts like this. And that's literally all he does.
We all know if Mel was to tell him today, Martell, I want to work us out. I want to give our family another chance. Coleslaw's out the picture. He's dumped on the side. And everybody else is too. He'll be good for a couple months, maybe.
Because he's still gonna have his coleslaw on the side.
Exactly. But he's never going to be right. So that's something I don't think I think Mel knows that. And that's why she'll never go back. She's not going to backtrack. And then on top of the fact that she said that all the years and all the insurance, and he never even made her have an orgasm. No. There was
no way. No. Yeah, and I'm sure like since she left, she's probably had multiple. So why would you go back to that? I'm just saying, like, why would you want to go back to such nonsense? Like, and it's not even like you can be like, oh, he's such a good man, like he treats her well. Like, you don't treat her well. You didn't treat her well. You were unfaithful. You were rude, disrespectful. Like, remember how he was talking about the respectful cheating? You couldn't even do respectful cheating, even though I don't think any cheating is respectful, if I'm being honest. But, we heard them talk about respectful cheating in the earlier seasons, but he couldn't even do that. And I'm just like, so, like, why
would you do anything respectfully?
Say that again, huh?
I said he can't do anything respectfully.
Yeah. He's like a kid. You give an inch, he takes a mile. Like, he can't help himself. You almost lost your family multiple times, but you still kept going back to the cookie jar. Like, what did you think was going to happen? You didn't think that one day someone is going to say, okay, I'm going to break this whole jar down. Or I'm just like, does that make sense? Like, what did you think was going to happen? That Mel will continue to take you back and keep your name and
no consequences. He felt there was no consequences for his actions because he was married and because he had, she had been there. She had accepted, or not, I won't say accepted it, but she gave him a chance after he done it the first time. But you kept doing it. That's the whole thing. You took her kindness for weakness. She thought because she had I'll say she forgave you in the first time because y'all still had kids and stayed married, but you kept doing it. You expected her to keep giving you that same energy. No, you took too much away from her for her to keep giving you that same energy. The energy is going to change along with everything else.
Yeah, I think Mattel's problem is like always thinking like whatever he does has no consequences. And there's nothing anyone can say to me, but I feel like that is something that stems from childhood and like growing up with no consequences and just being able to do whatever it is you feel like doing. That's just what I think. Um Someone is saying AA is saying he has a woe is me attitude. Completely. It's like
He does. He feels like the world owes him. Like
yeah,
he is old and has been done so wrong that he should be able to do whatever he wants to because it's like he feels his mom owes him something, his dad owes him something, his grandma, Mel, the kids, any and everybody owes him something, or he feels like he is like because he had, because he don't have now, because he had and the lifestyle that he felt like he was more important than what he is. And now he sees that he's not. And he's
yeah.
still feeling like he's owed something.
I'm like, nobody owes you anything. Like, get over yourself. Anyways, let's move on to Kimmi and Tisha. And so, like, what did you think about the scene? I have some thoughts, but I'll let you go first. What did you think about
Right,
this?
so I was gonna say you go ahead go first because I cannot stand when I say I can't stand Latisha, I can't stand Latisha, and this is with a passion. And at first, you try to give people chances. Yeah, we see what this is television, I understand, but honey, we see who you are as a person. I've seen who you are online, on the show. You are just a soul seller. Like I said, the Scotts are soul sellers. They will fake and play in your face, and they will try to do whatever it takes to have a storyline. Come on, girl. Really, you after not being seeing them for 2 episodes, and the episodes were great. You bring them back, and this is the bullshit we get.
Yeah.
Take them away, please.
It's like it's so convenient. It's like, oh, you're going for urine stim, and then what? Suddenly you found what a pregnancy test in your bag or what? Like, I don't understand. Or you picked it up, left your house, but didn't use the pregnancy test. But you're like, oh, let's go to the urine place, and then let me, ask if I'm pregnant, whether or not I can. Like, seriously, girl, who do you think we are? Like, do you think we're slow?
Like, oh, I went on a trip and I've been feeling sick and I've been gaining weight. Girl, you keep gaining weight and keep going to get BBLs. Every time you gain weight, you go have another surgery.
You keep
That's what you
eating.
do.
When you said you keep eating, oh my god, I hollered. I was like, what?
Listen,
Tisha is the way she says it. Oh my goodness, it's too funny. Yeah, no.
listen, when Kimmi said that to her, I said, you know what? She said what I was thinking, but we ain't gonna go there.
Yeah,
And
nah.
why would you even try to spit that narrative? Like, come on, we know Marsau went and got a vasectomy for one because he's not trying to have no slip ups.
Mm-hmm.
So while he's out doing his thing, he can do what he wants freely because he knows he's not going to have no babies. But then you make this narrative that you went on a Vegas trip and afterwards you started feeling sick. So what are you going to try to pretend like you was doing something out in Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, girl.
And also, let's not forget that I feel like they showed us, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like I remember seeing an episode where it was like a trailer for something that was going to happen later on in the season when I think they were on a cash trip or something. And then she talked to Martell and Marsau about being pregnant or not being pregnant or something about bringing a pregnancy. I don't know what it was, something about being pregnant, right? And I'm like, unless I'm making this up, do you remember?
Yeah, I remember because it was like he was sitting in the bed or they was in the bedroom or something and he was telling her about how it wasn't right or how it wouldn't have gone well for her because he had a vasectomy and yeah, and she was like, well, maybe it didn't take. And I was like, girl, stop. Just
Yeah.
stop. Yeah, I definitely remember there was, I don't know if it was on the trip or not, but yeah, she brings it to his attention that she took a pregnancy test or However it was brought. Most
Yeah,
likely, Kimmi told Maurice and Maurice tells Marsau. That's what I'm thinking is going to happen.
yeah. The whole thing is just is ridiculous if you ask me. Because I'm just like,
Well, did you hear what she said when she said she went to Vegas? Did you hear what she said Marsau went?
oh yes, oh Colombia,
Why?
Colombia.
He took a bachelor's trip to Colombia? What?
I'm like, for how? Like, didn't he just go to a trip recently, or am I
He went to
mixing?
Africa without you, girl.
Yeah, it's like, how many trips can this man go to before you think?
Without the family, without his wife. And you're going to different countries, but you're not taking your wife?
But then when you're, on trips in America, you're like, oh yeah, she can come. What? She doesn't deserve to be flown out of the country.
No, because
What
that's
is
where
it?
his other woman is.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Mm-mm. Master, definitely, if there was anything called respectful cheating, and guys, I'm just joking, there isn't really anything called respect for cheating. But if there was anything called respect for cheating, Maso is doing it. Because how is it that no one has really like come forward and like did not recant in some way? Like I feel like he dates, this is in my opinion and allegedly, dates people who have something to lose, who will not come for,
Exactly.
they're probably married, in my opinion.
Hmm.
And so who is going to want to ruin their marriage because of Merceau? Like, let's be honest, nobody will want to do that. So of course they're not going to come forward and say anything. All is alleged, by the way. But yeah. Mm.
Or even if he's, giving off paydays or whatever the case may be, which he very well could be, because there are the messages between Coleslaw and Martell at the very beginning of all this happening that was saying how Marsau was hooking up with her friends.
Mm.
And she's even tried to get her friends to come out and, basically say like, yeah, I fucked with him, da 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 da, but nobody will say anything.
Mm.
And it's like, and that's what I feel like. I feel like they have something to lose. They actually, like, there's no such thing as respectful cheating, but they know the fucking rules. Like back in the day, way back when, if you was a mistress, you was a mistress, and you was called a mistress for a reason, because it was a mystery of who the fuck you was.
Yep.
Nobody knew, because you had your place. You knew on Tuesdays and Saturdays you was gonna meet up with them at the hotel down the corner, room 372, and that was gonna be it. You knew the time to be there. You knew how long you was gonna be there, so you knew it. Listen, now these hoes just they want to be known. And
Yep.
then they act like they have like they're owed something for being a side chick. Just like when he tried to get her to come on the show, side chicks don't get no platform. What are y'all doing?
And also they be hating on the wife. It's like the mistress stays in her place. If anything, the mistress will be like, oh, make sure you're taking care of your wife and all that stuff. The mistress don't want to be the wife. But nowadays it's like these side, I'm trying not to swear, this side people can't stay in their place.
I'll do it for you. These side hoes.
Yeah, it's like stay in your place, mama. If you're gonna be a side B, then stay in your freaking place. But yeah, mm-mm.
If you don't have no respect for the wife, at least have enough respect for yourself to not put yourself out there to be known as a homewrecker or the one who's easily, whose legs easily open to where it's easy access. But no, they don't care. They will put their whole business out there just like she did. Just like Coleslaw, you licking ass and he licking ass. Come on, girl. Come on.
Have
That's
some
too much.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
Like they have no truth about themselves.
yeah, no, completely. But in terms of like moving back to like Tisha and Kimmi, right? Did you notice that Tisha seemed actually really sad? I feel like she's going through something. I feel like deep down
The
she knows.
truth is probably getting to her too because she knows what her husband's really doing.
Yep, I think that's what it
And you
is.
can't. How many times are you going to be able to hide it or fake about it? And I want to bring up something because she irks me. So when they was talking about Mel and basically Mel feeling like she was coming for her or had a problem with her at the, when they had a little town hall meeting,
Mm,
I could see that for the fact that anytime anybody else said anything, Tisha was quiet. But as soon
really?
as Mel said something, oh, you have feedback, and that's not the feedback you need. That's not what you want to hear. Just like when she came to the gym, y'all were talking at the gym. She was trying to ask the question of, did something happen before that? Because it just seemed odd for Kiki to come and just be so hype, throw a
Mm,
drink on you, and then you know what I'm saying, Lee. There's more to it that we don't know, but you don't want to talk about it because you don't want anybody to know your truth. You'd rather hide behind fake stories, fake pregnancies, and you know, fake businesses instead of actually taking care of what you have to at home. And now that shit's getting to you. Now you're feeling different. You're talking about now you want to go back to being a stay-at-home mom and all of this. Okay, that's because you are one. Tisha don't know herself, and she's so busy trying to be like other people and do what other people are doing that she don't know what she does good. So of course
yeah.
you're going to be lost. You got to figure it out for yourself. Who are you, Tisha? Stop trying to be Mel, Stormi, and every other woman that you see, or every other woman that you know that your husband's attracted to. Be yourself.
My life, my blueprint. Girl, no. You're living other people's lives. You need to sit in it and think about it and be honest with yourself. Who am I? What am I good at? And I feel like she's so busy constantly trying to be male, trying to steal people's ideas constantly. I've not come across one original idea that has come from her. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the podcast, didn't that stem some in some way from Mel? Did the cover of something
Yes.
she look exactly almost the same as Mel's? Then did
Hmm.
it's like so many things, right? And like, okay, then you copied the whole shipping policy, return policy for Stormi's business. Like, why are you such a copycat? Why can't you just do something for yourself? And if you're not good at business, no one is forcing you to be a business person. And then it's like at some point, just stand in who you are and what you're good at. There's not, if you're good at being a stay at home mom and that's all you want to do, then do that. No one forced you to be this business person or this business mogul, right? You wanted to be that. And then you overexerted yourself instead of starting off as an, okay, I don't really have business experience. I haven't really built anything successful. Let me start with one idea at a time. Let's see how this works before I spread myself too thinly. Instead, it just sounds like she's pulled herself in different directions, spread herself so thinly, and now she's like, expecting us to sort of rally around her and give her support in this moment.
And that's what it's gonna be. This is about to be a pity party of, oh, I'm dealing with something and I just don't know what it is that I'm going through. We know it's called denial. You've been in
Hmm.
denial so long. You're hiding who you are. You're so busy wanting to be someone else that you can't find you. So, of course, you're going to be going through something. It's an identity crisis right now. Like you have taken literally everything that someone else has done and try to make it your own, and every time it's failed. So, you're probably feeling like a failure at this point because what have you done that has actually produced anything? Scott's Manor, it's a no go. You have a house that you're rebuilding. So you moved into an apartment that your husband don't stay at.
Hmm.
Uh, you have these degrees, but you don't have. We don't know what they're for. I don't know. Maybe she just learned her ABCs. Who knows?
Don't forget the lawsuits.
Oh yeah. Oh, lawsuits after lawsuits. And that's something else about the lawsuits. Like I don't understand how she acts like she doesn't know about the lawsuits, but yet you say that you're 80, what, 83, 87% owner, something like that. You're in the
Yeah.
80s, like you own 80% of the company, but yet your name's not on any of the legal documentation, or you don't know about the subpoenas, you don't know what happened at court, you don't know anything. But so how are you the owner?
Mm. Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is she that silly? Or is it like she's trying to also have plausible deniability by saying, oh, yeah, whilst I own majority share, even though we have not seen that paperwork, she's trying to act like she's oblivious about the day to day running of things. But to be fair, I don't even get the impression she's actually as involved in the business. I think that Marsau sort of does pretty much most things. And yeah, in a way, I think that there's probably an element of, because I feel like, say what you want about Marsau, but Marsau sort of, I feel like Marsau likes what he sees in Melody in terms of like that business savvy person being able to build businesses and do all these
Absolutely.
cool things, right? And I feel like it's almost like he's trying to mold Tisha into that, but she is not that. She isn't that. She's never going to be that.
Never. And that's the whole thing is she's so busy trying to copycat and be someone else, and she's trying to be the woman that she sees her husband admire. She's trying to be the one she wants. Of course, you want your husband to be in your husband's eyesight, right? You want to be the one that he's looking at. But when you're not getting that and you see that he's looking at all these different women, he's giving it. How many times have y'all heard Marcel tell Tisha sorry? I've not. But yet he's told Stormi, he's told Mel, but he won't say that to his wife. He has taken every chance that he can to try to diss her, make her look stupid, and she just sits there and takes it. So to me, I feel like he looks at her as basically she's just hmm, she's an ornament. She's just an
Mm,
ornament. She's there. Does he really want her there? No. But for the look of it, it's all about the look.
the optics.
Exactly. The optics have to be what they
Mm,
are. But they're the type that honestly, the kids get out of school or get out of the house, they wouldn't have nothing.
yeah, I can totally see
Because
that.
hell,
Like once,
you're already taking trips out of country without her. So without her and the kids. So when the kids get old enough to where she can do stuff, you're still not going to try to do anything with her.
yep, it's going to be like you're married, but you're practically alone, single but married. Wow, that's just horrible. That is horrible. I hope she faces the truth. Like, even if you don't want to accept that he's cheated, whatever, but you need to heal because the pain is now starting to seep through and show. Like when she was talking to Kimmi, behind everything, it was almost like there was almost a crack, right? Like you could literally see, like, if the cameras were not there, she could have cracked in that moment, right? But she's just like, oh, she understands the, like, it's a reality show, so she doesn't want to show us all of that. But I think that it was clear that she's definitely going through something, and I think it's pretty much the cheating allegations in the background. Um, but yeah, it was given she's about to crack, but try to hold it together. Yeah.
I,
Okay,
I, I
let's move.
definitely agree with that. And I just, maybe she does need to go through some counseling. I'm glad that she said that she has been talking to a life coach, if that's even true. But I feel like
Yeah,
she
but
needs to have some counseling or something to try to help her cope and find out who she really is and what it is that she's wanting with her life.
yeah. I honestly think it's not even a life coach that she needs. I think she actually needs therapy. She needs some like self-esteem classes because I feel like your self-esteem has to be like deeply flawed for you to deal with someone like Marsau. And also, like, if you're even going to deal with someone like him, not insist on how you want to be treated, and just let him speak to you anyhow, treat you anyhow, gaslight you. Like, literally, her self esteem must have really, really taken a hit. And so I feel like what she needs isn't really a life coach. What she needs is some counseling,
Agree.
personally.
Agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely agree
let's,
with that.
sorry, say that again.
No, I say I absolutely agree with you on that one. Yep. But yeah, we can move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on to Chris and Chris Jr. What did you think about their
I'm gonna tell
conversation? I
you,
think
out of all of the scenes, that one actually was the best one, I feel. I feel like it was the
yes.
most genuine, and I feel like we saw another side of Chris Fletcher that we haven't seen, and that's another side that we haven't seen with honestly any of the men on the show.
Mm,
So I really, really enjoyed that scene, and I love how he expressed his concern to his son, and let him know, like, hey, what you're telling me and us having this talk, I'm feeling like you're depressed and I'm worried. And he
mm,
expressed it and to let him know, like, hey, 3 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter what time it is. If you need me, you call me. Like, that really touched my heart. I really, really love that scene. And that was my favorite, besides the fact of the Whitlows possibly leaving. But other than that,
yeah, no, that was absolutely my favorite too. I agree with you. I This was where I felt like gentle parenting was what was needed in the moment. Um, and I feel like I absolutely loved how he was like, okay, he identified what he thinks that it is. And also, by then identifying it is like, okay, I'm here for you if you need support, and also having that open dialogue for the son to be able to come, say to him, okay, I'm going to get help about it. Like, it could have gone so differently if he had a parent like Martell, for instance, and things maybe perhaps escalated in their talk. I feel like in this one in particular, I felt like the gentle parenting was what was needed in that moment. I loved how he listened to his son, asked him questions, and then expressed how he felt. This is what I think it is. And I loved how Chris got emotional. I love how he tapped into, like, because I know sometimes, some men feel like they have to be macho and all of that. And I'm glad that Chris isn't one of those. And instead is like, this is my son, I am available for you. I'm never going to ever be too busy for you, no matter what it is. And so if you ever need to call me or do anything, pick up the phone, right? And I feel like sometimes, like, to be fair, all the time, children need to know that regardless of what happens, when it counts and when it's needed, your parents will be there for you. Like, it's nice to have a parent like that. Of course, we can sit here and say, oh, we think, whether or not he's entitled or not, to an extent, we can discuss that. But I think from what we saw, I absolutely loved it. I feel like this is really what I would love to see on the show. I would love to see a lot more of the parenting. I would love to see a lot more of the Fletchers, because I feel like they have a big family. I feel like there's so many storylines that could come from just their family, pretty much.
yeah, like just to take that time out and, like you said, listen and truly let his son talk, instead of cutting him off and telling him what he wanted him to do and what he wanted him to listen to, and instead of being aggressive, he definitely gave him an opportunity to express himself in a way that could make change. And for him to at the end say, hey, you know what, I do think that I need counseling. That right there, that's what parenting is all about, is when you can actually have a conversation with your children, or you teach them something, you can have a conversation and you can see the growth in them, and you can see that they're actually understanding, you know not only where you're coming from, but they see that, what, my dad listened to me. Like, he actually, I know that I have somebody, because it's going to be that time at 3 o'clock in the morning. where he's sitting there thinking that he's so alone, but that conversation is going to resonate with him and he's going to say, you know what? Let me call my dad.
Yeah.
And I think that is wonderful. And like I said, if that was Martell, it would have been an argument. There would have been yelling, aggression, and then he would have made it about himself.
Yeah. Definitely.
So
And
I think we need more of the Fletchers. We definitely need more of the Fletchers. We can get rid of the Scotts, get rid of the Whitlows, and the Fletchers themselves. They can hold the show. Honestly, I feel like
honestly,
if there was a spinoff of a family, the Fletchers, I'd watch them.
definitely, I would too. I would too. And yeah, like I absolutely would too. Like even if it's like a show just showing them healing from like their childhood like trauma and like stuff and the children healing from like the trauma and doing like family therapy together and then us seeing like a few episodes of that. Like I really feel like that would be enjoyable TV for us, and but I also think like beyond all of it, like it would be things that we can have like honest conversations about and actually learn a few things from. Because I know like a lot of parents always feel like, the shouting thing is like the right approach. But sometimes it's not always the right approach. And because you can get a lot out. I know for me anyway, as an individual, if someone shouts at me, it's done. There is not you could be saying the best thing, I would not hear you. I would not receive it. I'm not going to learn from it,
Yeah.
right? And I
Mhm.
feel like sometimes also parents sort of they use the same way they were brought up to raise their children, which doesn't always work because it also depends on your kid, their personality, their temperament, stuff like that, right? And then so when you then have a kid, you're like shouting at the kid, and the kid is starting to feel like, oh, my parents don't love me. They hate me. I'm alone. And these things can like cause serious like self-esteem issues and like just depression, all these different things in a kid's life, right? So it was refreshing to see for a change a black man
Yeah.
treat and like listen and validate and recognize and still lovingly direct his kid in that way. So that was honestly really good TV for us. I absolutely
Absolutely.
enjoyed
I
it.
absolutely agree with that. And honestly, just to go a little step further, being able to see the black love that Nell and Chris have for each other and even seeing their family dynamic, even though it is, dysfunctional, that's honestly the black household, but you see how they are as parents and
Mm,
you can see the love that they have. And that's something that we're not getting when it comes to, a lot of television shows or even social media or even in society. They make, black couples or even black families look as if we're impoverished. We have, no education. We have no money. We don't know how to raise kids. And they're just running amok. And next, they just all end up in jail because they're in a, bad parenting. No, that's not always the case. And it's so good to actually be able to see, our black men as fathers and as good fathers and
mhm,
showing the love that they have for their black sons. Like that shows that a black man can love and can nurture and can care for his child. And that's something that we don't see. So for us to get that, I feel like we need more of it. We keep the Fletchers, get rid of the Scotts.
definitely. I feel like the Scots no longer bring anything to the show. Like this last couple of episodes, I was just like, oh, what's happening? Oh, they're gone. Oh, yes. Well, let them stay gone. Like, I was actually hoping that we wouldn't see them again for another couple of episodes, but, that prayer was not answered. um, but
Yeah, it couldn't have been too long without.
do you think that Tisha is going to leave the show this season, at the end of the season?
No, because they need them checks. It's the only thing they have. So no, unfortunately, I don't think they will. But do
Yeah.
I do I hope that they will? Yes, absolutely. Every day I do. Because I'm just like, this is come on, like enough is enough. Like I said, 2 episodes without y'all, and they were some great episodes. And here y'all come back with the bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
Honestly, I wish they would just leave. Like, just leave. Because I know for a fact that Carlos is not going to let them, he's not going to fire them, let's be honest. Um, but I feel like he needs to tell them if they don't want to speak on the truth about their lives, they need to go. If they don't want to be transparent, then they need to go. And I think one of the things that is really refreshing for me for relation to Love and Marriage Huntsville is like I haven't really been watching Potomac as much, right? But from just it just seems like all scandals and rumors, and I'm just like so exhausted by it all, right? And it's like nice to have a show like this where it's like you can actually still see a little bit more of like people's lives, and it's not all about like rumors and just there's a little bit of rumors in it. We've had some of that this season, but like it seems like we are having like a balanced season where we're getting to explore different the different people. Like for instance, Mel had the name change ceremony, so we saw that. Kiki, we didn't see much of Kiki. Aside, I was gonna say about Kiki, but then I realized that they didn't even film her going into the center anyway. So that was I feel like that's an opportunity that they missed out that could have been very, very good for the show. Um, but aside that, I feel like on this show you still get a little bit more of some storyline and then and then drama, right? As opposed to all these other shows where it just seems like rumors, 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 scandals, scandals, scandals. I'm tired of it.
yeah, because the same scandals happen on this show. We already know the Scotts are the scammers, and you know the Whitlows really aren't. You know what I'm saying? Tiffany. I'm just gonna say Tiffany because Lou I actually like Lou. Lou's cool, but yeah, this show is it is different from other shows, but I feel like it could be more. It could be a
Mm,
whole lot more and a whole lot better because to come out with the concept of black excellence and black business and showing, all these wonderful things we get, you're still showing the negative side. Like without Chris Fletcher right now, what positivity do we have with our black men on there?
mm. To
So
be
I feel
honest,
like there's
Chris is the only one.
Mhm.
Chris is the only one holding the fort for good black men.
Exactly. So it's like we need more. So let's get rid of them. Let's go ahead and keep the ones who are actually there to show, show real. It's called reality for a reason. The first part's real. Let's see it. And I feel like the Fletchers are definitely they're it. But this show is it is different from all the others. I will say that. But I
Yeah.
just feel like it can be more just because of the difference. Let's elevate on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. I think if they made a few changes, for instance, I feel like Courtney is boring, right? And
Mm,
I feel like they don't need to be showing Stormi and Courtney's storyline. Instead, they need to make Stormi a friend of the show,
mhm.
and then we don't really need to see her family. They need to bring two new couples in who actually have storylines and who have successful businesses for a change. Like we can't have just the Fletchers and Mel who
Mhm.
are who are running successful businesses, right? I know Stormi has a business as well, so yeah, Stormi as well. But with Stormi, I know there's been also like different like lawsuits apparently, so I haven't really been.
Right. That's the whole thing. Everybody else has lawsuits on the show. I have not seen anything about the Fletchers in a lawsuit or Mel. So every other couple has though.
Right. So that's why I feel like they need to bring in two new people who are generally clean in terms of like, they're not actively in any court proceedings. They are
Mhm.
running successful businesses and have been doing that for years and are sort of within the same circle as Mel and the Fletchers. I feel like that would be good TV. And I feel like yeah, I feel like that would be good TV. But at the moment, I feel like the Scots are not really doing much. It's only like as we're talking that I started to think, oh wait, where's Maurice? Maurice wasn't there. Didn't even notice. Marsau wasn't there. Didn't even notice. And I'm just like, wow, like, yeah, they're not really bringing it this season, so they need to sit on the bench. Okay.
Yeah, he's definitely been out on the bench, and just a little glimpse of Maurice that we've gotten. He's getting worse.
Yeah. And I feel like now it almost feels like he has to perform because all this like scenes that we're getting about sex and this and I'm tired of it, right? And I feel like you guys need to give us something else. You can't tell me in the last 2 years all that has happened is sex related. Give us something else.
Well, we can't even say the 2 years because it had been before that because they was talking about how much she wanted it beforehand, before she even got sick. There was the issue because they talked to Dr. Francis about it.
Oh yes,
So,
that's true. It's
so
even been
this is a storyline that's been going on for a long time. Give us something else.
Yeah, now that's a lazy job. And the producers should have told them you can't have this as a storyline again. You need to
No,
come up with something else. I feel like this is where I feel like I need the producers to produce. And I know it's a reality TV show, but no, this cannot be your season, your storyline for this season. They need to speak. I'm sorry. You can't subject us to over 2 years of torture. We don't want to hear about your sexual activities. And then to have to keep listening to that constantly over and over and over again, it's just too much. It's absolutely too much. But anyways, was there anything else you wanted to mention on
so,
this, or should we move on to Tiffany and Lou?
no, we can move on to Tiffany and Lou. But all I will say is when it comes to Kimmi and them, if y'all don't have nothing else besides sex, why did y'all even get married?
Ooh, that is a good one. I feel like their relationship was probably based on sex from day one to begin with, because I've never heard a couple talk about sex so much. Like, because remember, even when he was talking to Dr. Francis, it was like bam, 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 thank you, ma'am. Like, there was no intimacy. And, when Dr. Francis was talking about intimacy, he was sort of using it to refer to sex. And I think there was something about it not always being about sex. And I'm like, dude, did you need a counselor to tell you that at your grown age, big man like you need someone to tell you that intimacy is not always about sex? Yeah, nah. Mm-mm. Too much.
So no, that's all it is though. That's how y'all met. You was having them wild parties that they was talking about, just having them wild parties.
Allegedly.
So yeah, allegedly,
Mm.
it seems like that's what it was based off of. Because remember in the beginning, Kimmi was dressing up, and she got all these different wigs because she can.
Oh, I think, Gigi's Gigi's internet must have dropped. Let's see if she joins back in. But I think what she was talking about was like how Kimmi
He's
was
not
like, oh yeah,
understanding that.
Gigi.
Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
yeah, I can hear you now. You were talking about the how when Kimmi joined, yeah, the
Oh,
wigs
I
and
was
all of
saying like, yeah. So when they got together, he was dressing up. You got all these different wigs, and allegedly y'all met at the sex party or whatever. But it seems like that still wasn't enough for him, or maybe he thought. Honestly, I don't know what he thought. One, Kimmy's older than him. She had a whole career. She didn't raise her kids. She come on. But I feel
yeah.
like the sex is what wrapped that. That's what put that hold on him. So it's not what he thought it was going to be after getting married. So now what? Y'all gonna get a divorce? That's gonna be the next storyline. Marital problems because Kimmy's not Kimmi.
Yeah, I feel
which
like
sucks.
yeah, I could definitely see that as another storyline because this whole sex thing has just gone on for too long. So it's like, yo, if you guys don't want to be together, like, cut it out. Like, how bad could it really be? But maybe I shouldn't ask. Hmm, how bad could it
I don't
really?
know. I guess to not get it 5 times a week instead of, none at all, because hell, there's men that's not getting none.
Mm,
But if you were complaining about, oh, we're not doing it 3 times a day, every single day, who the
yeah,
fuck has time for that?
yeah, that's just problematic. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care what kind of libido you have. Like, 3 times a day, every single day. Like, do you have jobs, lives? Like, no.
Like, listen, we got lives. That's just a
Mm-mm.
deal.
Like, I'll be so tired the whole day, constantly. Nah, nah, nah. That ain't for me. Luckily, I don't have to deal with that. So, Tiffany and Louis, or Lou. Why do I keep calling him Louis? Jesus, Lou. Yes, that's it. Tiffany and Lou. I think for me, I actually felt quite empathetic towards Tiffany in this scene, and it might just be I'm too nice, but I actually felt kind of sorry for her. I feel like I know she brought it on herself, right? Let's be honest, she brought it on herself to an extent because she didn't really, she insisted on having a baby, and also she wasn't realistic of on what like having a baby could do to her life. Like, she didn't really think about the sort of adjustments. Just because you had a first kid years ago when you were probably in your early 20s or something, or I don't know what age she had the first child, but that was years ago. Your life has changed. You're probably more busy now than you've ever been before. So, of course, things are going to be hectic. And nonetheless, seeing her really struggle and be upset in that moment, my heart broke for her. Like, I actually felt, I think this was the first time that I felt sort of sorry for her since the show pretty much started. Now I know she put herself in the position of the villain, and it's easy for her to then all of a sudden start crying and showing us all these emotions now that she wants to exit in peace. But I feel like there is still some truth to it, in the sense that I don't feel like she is making it up how she's feeling. I think that she's feeling the emotions that she is feeling. Or do I think part of what she's feeling is things that she brought on herself to begin with?
I completely agree with you on that. And just because I don't like her doesn't mean I don't have a heart, because I understand what it's like to be, you know, to have postpartum. I
Mm,
didn't have it as bad. And me just dealing with what I've dealt with in life in general, I have a different way to cope with things. So I didn't let it affect me. But there's some people who can't. So I do feel like she's going through certain things, especially with being a new mom, Lou not being there, and the things that she has brought upon herself. And maybe it's the fact that production has been able to pull so many strings when it comes to her that she did not realize just how much it would affect her life for real, on
mm,
top of what she's really going through with being a new mom.
yeah.
Because the way that Tiffany comes off, and just the drama and the different things that she has said, and honestly, I can't even just put it on production, because when she did the interview with Carlos, that wasn't production, that was her. So,
That being
what,
said, Carlos was asking some shady questions too, but yeah, I agree with you. That was
yeah, but still, even if somebody asks you shady questions, does that mean that you got to get down and dirty and, play in the mud with them? No. And you was just talking about stuff to just, like, for what? You know? So, just like we was talking about with her, I think social media, I feel like, life and just a whole bunch of things is coming to her, and she's getting shit thrown her way, and she
Mm,
can't take it. She can dish some shit, but she can't take it. And it's becoming too much. And if you don't have nobody that you can really talk to, or you don't let it out, it's going to build up. And I feel like that's what's happened. And she's right now she's has to let it out, or she's gonna boil over. So I'm glad that she was able to talk to Lou, and at least express to him how she's feeling, you know, in general, and him actually understand and not minimize it, or, just kind of shrug it off.
yeah, that's true. Did you notice that she said something about sh almost like having to perform for people? Sort of like, oh, social media, and then like the pressures to sort of like behave a certain way. If not, you should get
Yeah.
fired, sort of thing. I feel
Yep.
like that also, to an extent, explains the over dramatization that we saw from her. Like, for instance, her going to Sheree, saying certain things. Like, even for Tiffany, we pointed it out at the time that that behavior was even beyond what we've seen from her. And I feel like that stemmed from her feeling like she needed to perform to keep her job.
Absolutely, because like, was it last season where it was said that they wanted them gone because there was really no substance. Like that, I mean, there still really isn't. Like, she's just full of mess that doesn't even need to be there. It's like they just have her there to shake the table. She's done that. She has nothing else to give. Like, so of course she's feeling the pressure. And that's why I said social. I feel like social media is playing a big part in this too, because I know the comments eat her ass up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they do. I mean,
They
it's reality. Everyone gets, some type of, you know, shit that's thrown their way at some point in time. But
To be
I'm
honest,
not
she
going to say I don't feel sorry for her. I do, but then I don't, because a lot of the shit you caused.
she did. That's the thing. It's one of those things where it's hard to feel sorry for her because you know how these things came to be, if that makes any sense. But then I still sort of I can't I still feel a little bit I still feel sorry for her, to be honest.
Right,
But
that's what
like,
I'm saying. Like, it's like you feel sorry, but you're like, oh, but it's only a little bit, because
yeah.
if you wouldn't have did this shit, some of this wouldn't have happened. Like, it could have been avoided.
Yeah, it's like you brought this on yourself, but I still empathize with you and I want to hold your hand and hope for the best for you. But you did bring this on yourself. Like it's sort of like one of those ones. Um, but like, I really hope she gets help for what she's going through mentally. But I think in terms of like the pressure to perform, in a way also, I don't feel like production helped her in any way. They did not like they've never really showed her interact more in terms of her business. They've always brought her on the show it with the agenda, we want you to be the messy one. I don't think they've
Yeah.
ever given her the opportunity for us to see her as a business person. Remember the cast were even saying they
Well,
don't know what she does.
I was about to say, I don't know what she does. Like, that's does anybody know what she does?
But apparently
Because
she's a
she
very
made that comment about Kiki, and I'm like, girl, what do you do?
right. And that's the thing. Apparently she's a very, very accomplished person that like does so much and like helps people with like their startups and all of that kind of stuff. And she's apparently very good at what she does. I sometimes I read like comments of like people talking about some of the things that she does, and I'm like, oh really? Like, why didn't we get that on the show? I feel like if we had, oh, sorry, my alarm for is that bedtime. I, sorry. I feel like if we had gotten like a little bit more about like her as a business person, for instance, right? maybe would have been able to balance her character instead of only showing her in one way. Like it's almost like the way she's been forced on us is, or the way she's been shown has only been like, you know how sometimes someone is a villain, but you can empathize with them because you see how they handle business, you see how they do this, you see them in so many different lights. So you're like, oh, she's messy, but it's, for instance, Nell. Nell is messy, but we love Nell, right? And I feel like the reason why we love Nell is because we've seen Nell in different positions, different circumstances, and we see her as a balanced character on the show. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. And that is
Yeah.
so true. Like, and you can actually see, like, what they do is tangible. Her and Fletcher, like, what, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can
Hmm.
see what the Fletchers do. Like, with everyone else, you have to guess. You have to wonder. You have to, like, wait and see and hope that you might, know something. But other than that, it's like everything else is, like, unknown. So it's like, what part of your life are you really showing? What do we know about you if we don't even know what you do besides you're a cast member of this show?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I definitely think like that is pretty much like parts of the thing that I feel like production could have maybe perhaps managed a little bit better in that way. Personally, I think it's always good for us to be able to see so that it doesn't happen again. Like, granted, we felt like Tiffany, the Whitlows were boring, but at the same time, I feel like it's important to see the character in different areas, right? So that way, even if a lot of people are coming for them, it wouldn't be like a huge majority the way it has been. It's like we'll see them, we'll be able to humanize them in some way. I feel like the only scene so far from Love and Marriage Huntsville that's made me feel or humanize Tiffany is this last scene. In the
agree.
whole, right? It's this last
Yep.
scene. And so I feel like, in a way, also, it's a lesson because if not, they're going to have cast members who will eventually leave again. Because, to be honest, fans of the show are very, very opinionated, which is something I love. But at the same time, if you're on the show and the fans are very opinionated and are constantly in your DMs and your comments saying all sorts of things, if you don't really have a strong heart and mind, you're going to really, really struggle. And so I feel like the show needs the production needs to help balance people's stories out. So people can, at least, even if you're a villain, you can still humanize that villain. But yeah, that's just, what I
Agree. I definitely agree with that.
okay, let me
Absolutely.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. I
Yeah,
think that
I agree. But I feel like, maybe it is time that they go ahead and, exit the show because they really don't have much. And, and honestly, if your mental state is jeopardized in this, it's time to take a step back, do what's best, you know, for your children, and, just do what's best for your family. Right now, if you feel like your mental health is in jeopardy, take that time away.
yep,
'Cause
completely
reality TV is not for everyone.
completely agree. Like, just take that step back. Yeah, no, completely
Find your
agree.
deal.
And let me just quickly read this comment before we close out. Mattel acts like he's not replaceable on the show. His behavior is unacceptable. I completely agree with you, Rod Daniels. I feel like the reason he behaves the way he behaves is because he and Carlos are buddies, in my opinion. And I feel like he feels like Carlos is not going to get rid of him like that. And so he feels like he can take liberties. That's just what I think.
Yep, that's definitely true. Martell feels untouchable, but he feels like he's owed something. And see, when him and Mel was together, a lot of things was happening, and since it's not happening, and he feels like it still should be, and he should still be a part of everything. You know, he's going to Carlos as though Carlos is the next victim. He might have some shit on Carlos too. We don't know. But you know, he always keeps saying that it was him. If it wasn't for him, there would be no shown. It's like, if it wasn't for Mel and you,
Uh,
okay, and it wasn't even really you. It was more so Mel, but still, it was, you know, a y'all thing because that's why she's the producer, but you're not.
yeah, I always thought that was so weird. I always thought that was so weird. I think, yeah. Have you
Yeah,
noticed though that Carlos hasn't really been speaking much along those lines, similar lines anymore? He's kept his trap shot of that. Like I feel like he's gotten a lot of backlash when he's done it in the past. And I feel like he's learned like, yo, these people don't play. Because I have not heard him say anything about Mel or like anything in
no, especially after the last time when he tried to do some shady shit and shade her, and she
Mm,
got stabbed all the way together. But it seems like he was, I guess, trying to do some shady shit, but no. That's why he started calling himself. What was he calling him? The not the he's the raindrops, but he kept on talking about I'm a millimeter and what
oh
was
yeah,
he was mixing them? No, he was mixing their name. Rain meters or
raindrops.
yeah, he's raindrops, but he was mixing raindrops and millimeters to make it like they were a group. Yeah.
Oh, come on, get out of
I
here.
was like, no,
Yeah,
stop it, please.
stop it. Yeah, I think he was really trying to like act like he really tried to clean up his act because I remember I think there was a time where everyone was like coming for him and that was I think just before Melody presented an award that he got. I don't know if
Hmm.
you remember it right, and she wore that black dress. I think that like before that time, people were like coming for him because they felt like the way he had treated Melody on the show has not been acceptable. But the way he was cuddling Mattel, going on press tour with him, people wanted to light his A on fire. Like I think that after that, he knew that okay, being and backing Mattel up is not going to help people watch your show. It's just going to go the other way around. So yeah, I think he learned his lesson. I will say that.
Well, let's hope so.
Yeah, for now
Cause
anyway.
yeah, he still I don't see him pushing him over there on Bravo and Real Housewives of Atlanta no more. He had his couple scenes and that was it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad he's no longer on the Real Housewives. He brought nothing to that either. To be honest, but yeah. Okay. I think that's it. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much all for listening. Please make sure you subscribe to all of our channels, Acquaintance Tea with GD Nan, and reviews and recaps, and also talk with Slana, who isn't here with us today, but she's been in the chat. So please make sure you subscribe to her channel as well. Also, please give this video a thumbs up, and yeah, let's continue in the chat. See you guys later. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Bye.
Bye.